Book 1. Written by Courtney Carbone. Illustrated by Benedetta Capriotti. Read by Laura Stahl. 1. Nestled deep in a hidden forest, the woodland town of Critter Village hummed with excitement and activity. It was the first day of fall, and everyone was busily preparing for the upcoming Harvest Festival. On Acorn Avenue, a brisk wind whipped up crunchy leaves as shoppers rushed down the street, their arms full of brown paper parcels. In the town square, the wishing fountain bubbled merrily as animals decorated their quaint little shops with autumn wreaths. Across from the town square stood a large hotel called the Critter Inn. The inn's owner, Mama Scurry, carried a no vacancy sign out to the entrance. The Harvest Festival meant that animals from all over the world would be visiting, and for the first time, the inn was booked solid for the night. After hanging up the sign, Mama Scurry brought out a wooden board. Moving carefully to avoid waking Pup, her newborn sleeping on her back, she began to write. The inn was holding a big baking contest the next morning. It was the kickoff event for the whole festival and would feature a mystery ingredient. In front of the inn, Mama Scurry's eldest son Martin carefully tidied up. He raked leaves into a neat pile while his younger brother Henry picked up stray branches. But as soon as Mama Scurry finished writing and went inside, Henry made a flying leap into the pile, creating a messy explosion of color. Whoosh! "I just finished raking," Martin groaned. "Stop causing trouble, will you?" "Never!" Henry giggled as he ran off. Inside the inn, Mama Scurry popped her head into the barnyard suite to check on her daughter, Lila. Every room at the Critter Inn was unique. Special care had been taken with each one so all kinds of guests could feel right at home. There were rooms with palm trees and sand, wood and moss, and even ice and snow. Lila was crossing items off of a long to-do list. Helping her mother with the inn was a lot of hard work, especially with one less person to help out. Papa Scurry had been traveling for weeks on a scientific expedition, but the children were very excited because he was due home that very night. "I wonder what time Papa will get home," Lila mused aloud. "I miss him so much." "I do too," Mama said, patting Lila's shoulder. "I just hope the weather doesn't delay his trip. It's awfully windy out there." "But he can't miss the baking contest tomorrow," Lila exclaimed. "It's the first one we've ever had." Mama nodded sympathetically. "I don't know when Papa will arrive," she replied. "But I do know that he'll try to get home as soon as possible. The only thing Papa loves more than baked goods is spending time with his family." Lila smiled and gave Mama a hug. She knew her mother was right, and they would just have to wait and see. As Lila began to dust the windowsill, she peered through the glass looking for the town trolley. She couldn't wait to meet the guests it would bring to the inn. Lila was interested in learning about different places and animals, just like her father was, and visitors often shared their stories with them. But there was no trolley in sight. She sighed and went over to help Mama finish making the bed. Lila filled the water trough and put an apple on the nightstand. Finally, everything was in its place. Cling clang, cling clang! The town trolley's bell rang out. The Scurrys had finished getting the inn ready for guests, and not a second too soon. 2. Lila saw the red and green wooden trolley coming down the street. With a screech and a lurch, it pulled up to the town square station. Even from far away, Lila could see some of the hotel guests getting off the trolley. "They're coming!" she exclaimed. Lila and Mama hurried to the lobby. "I almost forgot," Mama Scurry said. She took out a sign-up sheet for the baking contest and placed it on the front desk. Even though it was a lot of work to prepare the inn for the event, there was a wonderful bonus. Mama and Papa Scurry were the judges, which meant that they would get to try all of the delicious treats. Mama Scurry cupped her paws to her mouth. "Chipmunks, report for duty," she called. Martin was already in the hallway, straightening up the luggage carts for the third time that day. Henry bounded in through the back door. He was covered in leaves and mud. "Oh dear," Mama said. "Run upstairs and wash up, Henry. We can't have folks seeing you like that." "But, Mother," Henry replied, "I was so looking forward to helping out with the guests." Martin rolled his eyes. "He probably did it on purpose to get out of chores," Lila said. "That's not a very nice thing to say, Lila," Mama replied. "Even if it's true," Henry said as he raced up the stairs. Martin wiped muddy footprints off the hardwood floor behind him. "Third floor bathroom, please," he called. "I just cleaned the others." Mama Scurry opened the front door of the inn, and the guests trooped inside one by one. The lobby was suddenly filled with friendly animals chattering and greeting each other with "Hello" and "How do you do?" "Right this way," Mama said, pointing to the front desk. "Welcome to Critter Inn." "Pleased to meet you," a 9-banded armadillo said, shaking Mama's hand. "My name's Senor Rhea." "Nice to meet you," Mama said warmly. "Did you have a nice trip?" "Yes, thank you," Senor Rhea replied. "We came all the way from Mexico, where my family owns a restaurant. I'm looking forward to the baking contest and some cool weather for a change." A penguin behind him laughed. "You call this weather cool?" she asked. "It feels balmy to me, almost as hot as my kitchen. Where I live in Antarctica, the temperature drops below 0 degrees. Lila's eyes grew wide as Martin piled suitcases onto a luggage cart. "Did you really come all that way?" she asked the penguin. "Sure did," she replied. "My name's Pippa Rockhopper. I'm entering the bake-off, too." Lila wanted to pepper the new guests with more questions, but Mama spoke before Lila could ask another. "Our guests have all had very long trips, children," Mama said. "Let's show them to their rooms so they can rest and put their feet up." Right then, a pair of walruses waddled in. "Or their flippers," Mama quickly added. Lila smiled, and she and Martin began showing the guests to their rooms. 3. By evening, all of the guests were finally settled in. Mama Scurry collapsed onto a small bench behind the front desk. It was her first chance to sit down since everyone had started arriving. Getting the inn ready for a full house had been exhausting, but she was proud of what she and her children had done to make each guest as comfortable as possible. And so far, it seemed like everything was going according to plan. Just then, the bells on the front door jingled. "I'm terribly sorry, but we're all out of rooms," Mama said without opening her eyes. "That's a fine way to greet your longest-staying guest," the newcomer replied. Mama looked up to see a toad by the name of Mr. Knot, or as the children called him, Naughty, hopping through the front door of the inn. Mr. Knot's family had owned the inn for a long time before Mr. Knot sold it to the Scurry family. Mama and Papa had agreed to let him stay in the attic in exchange for help around the building. "What's the big commotion?" he asked. "The Harvest Festival begins tomorrow, Mr. Knot," Mama Scurry reminded him. "Remember, I told you that we're having a baking contest in the morning?" Mr. Knot frowned. "Didn't they just have the festival last year?" "Yes," Mama replied. "The festival is an annual tradition, but the contest is new this year." "Well, I have no problem with traditions as long as they're quiet ones," said Mr. Knot. "Noise ruins my afternoon nap." "I see," Mama replied. With 3 busy children and a newborn baby, she was used to a lot of noise, but she understood how it could be overwhelming to someone who had lived alone for a long time. "I have just the thing for you, Mr. Knot," Mama said. She went into the housekeeping closet and came back with a pair of earmuffs. "On the house." Mr. Knot shook his head and grumbled. but he put on the earmuffs. As he began to climb the stairs to his room, Martin and Henry ran past him and into the lobby.
"Mama, there's a flood in Senor Rhea's room,"
Martin said as he wrung out a sopping wet towel.
"Henry didn't turn off the bathtub faucet properly and now there's water everywhere." "Sorry, Mama."
Henry hung his head. He liked to goof off, but he never wanted to make more work for Mama.
"Oh dear,"
Mama replied.
"You must be more careful, Henry. We don't have any extra rooms."
Henry nodded.
"And what's more," Martin went on, "the walruses have been complaining that their room is too dry."
Lila thought for a second. She knew from Papa Scurry's research that some animals liked wet habitats and others liked dry ones. That gave her an idea. "Maybe we could switch their rooms," she suggested. "Walruses enjoy shallow water, and since armadillos are desert animals, I bet Senor Rhea and his family wouldn't mind a dry room." "Great thinking, Lila," Mama Scurry replied. "That's exactly what we'll do." Just then, the phone rang.
"I'll get it!"
Martin, Lila, and Henry all exclaimed at once. They scrambled toward the receiver, eager to discover if their father's voice would be at the other end.
"I'll put it on speaker,"
said Mama. "That way we can all hear." She pressed a button and the speaker crackled. "Critter in," Mama said.
"Hi, Mama,"
said a familiar voice. It was Papa Scurry!
"Papa!"
the children cried. "How are you, dear?" asked Mama.
"I'm all right, but there's a big storm here," said Papa. "My train broke down, and I'm not sure when I'll get home. I'm so sorry, but I will probably miss the baking contest."
"Oh, no!"
Lila exclaimed. "Please say it isn't so, Papa."
"Yeah,"
Henry added.
"It won't be the same without you." "Well, the important thing is that Papa stays safe,"
Martin reminded them. "That's very true, Martin," Mama said. "And we'll be so happy to see you when you do get home, Papa." The Scurrys all said good night, and then Mama hung up. "I know you really wanted to see Papa, but remember, there's still the baking contest tomorrow to look forward to." Mama gave each of her children a hug before scooting them off to bed. All about trolleys. To get to Critter Village, many visitors use the town's main form of transportation, the trolley. Also called streetcars, trolleys have been around since the 1800s, when many were powered by horses or mules. The first American streetcar lines were in New York City, and lines in New Orleans, Boston, and San Francisco soon followed. As cars became popular in the mid-1900s, many streetcars stopped running. Today, a few trolley systems remain, mostly for tourists. You can learn more about trolleys by visiting transportation museums all over North America. What is the Bake Off's delicious mystery ingredient? Find out in Book 2.